Steve Spector and Rafael Knuth from Dell again, and we have Josh McKenty from Piston. Can you tell us a little bit about Piston?
Sure. So since the early days of OpenStack, we've been delivering a enterprise-grade software product. 100% of OpenStack, bundled in an easy turnkey distribution. Folks use this really for lights-out software-defined data centers.
And Piston, and I know you were one of the co-founders of Piston, and I know that you were actually part of the original NASA team. Is that correct? Can you give us kind of a highlight of what it was like pre-OpenStack as it became OpenStack?
The first launch of any public OpenStack code was on my blog in the spring of 2010, and it was a project called Nova CC. And really, we were running a cloud for NASA and the White House, and it was a lot of hard work. And we figured if we got some open source contribution to that code base, it would make it just a tiny bit easier. We figured maybe 2 or 3 people in the world would help out. And now, what is this, 2 years later, 3 years later, we're at the Oregon Convention Center with 3,000 people trying to figure out what they can do to help. And
now, as well as being in Piston, you're also on the foundation?
Yeah, the OpenStack Foundation Board. The original OpenStack governance body was 2 of us from NASA, myself and Jesse Andrews, and 2 people from Rackspace, which I think was Jim Curry and Jonathan Bryce at the time. And obviously that model didn't scale. I think that was our official governance body for like a week. Then we had the Project Oversight Committee, which lasted for I think 4 weeks. We switched to the Project Policy Board, which made it I think a year, and then morphed gradually into the Technical Committee as we stood up the nonprofit foundation. And so I've been on governance for OpenStack since early 2003.
So I understand that last week Piston made an announcement. Can you tell us a little about that?
Sure. So we announced our 2.0 version of our enterprise OpenStack product. We shipped the 1.0 in early 2012, I guess. And so the 2.0 product makes it a lot easier for what we call Amazon refugees, or companies moving off of AWS, to take advantage of OpenStack. Typically, the early adopters for OpenStack were larger enterprises who already had a data center and an operations team, and so they could handle the perhaps complex process of standing up a private cloud. But folks moving off of public cloud for cost and customization reasons are not as used to operating traditional IT, and so they were really looking for a turnkey experience, and that's what we've delivered in the 2.0.
Great. Well, thanks again for taking the time to talk to us today at the summit. Have a good day.